not out in Vegas, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you are in Vegas. Damn, you were up early this morning.
Yeah. Well, you know.
You keep weird hours, man.
Yeah, but it's also, you know how it is. You're so used to the East Coast time that it takes you a while to adjust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Fortunately, though, Keith, I don't have to do that much anymore, so that's a good thing for me. So yesterday the team signs, or Kyle Lowry is coming back for a year. I kind of looked at it like this, Keith. I wonder if this means Jared McCain, maybe Ricky Council IV, maybe they think that playing time alongside Tyrese Maxey is already here, and Kyle Lowry is a kind of a backup to that. How did you read it, or do you see it as more moves still coming for that guy to play next to Tyrese Maxey on the floor?
You know, that's a great question. You know, I would think that they may try to go after another point guard. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, because let's face it, all they have is a minimum to offer someone. But I'm not really shocked at all that they brought Kyle back because, you know, when we talked before, there were 3 guys who they identified that they really wanted to bring back. One was Kyle, the other one was Kelly Oubre, and the other one was Nico Batum. But I think the thing about Kyle is his relationship with Nick Nurse and also how he can be a mentor to Maxey. So I feel like those are the things more so than his playing in games. Just the fact that, you know, he's someone who's kind of like a coach on the floor or, you know, coach on the bench or coach in the locker room, and that he's a former all-star point guard. It could be great to benefit Maxey. But, you know, the thing is, when you talk about McCain, you know, he's a guy that basically is showing us that in the summer league, granted the summer league, that he can handle the ball. He can run the offense. So, yeah, he could be, you know, someone that they could rely on, you know, when Maxey isn't on the floor and things like that. But I do think that Kyle will play, but I don't know what type of role he will have. But I do know that, you know, he's going to be someone that they're going to depend on as far as being a leader and a guy that's making sure that guys are prepared and ready.
So, Keith, if Kyle's here more so as a leader, do you anticipate Daryl Morey adding another primary ball handler to that bench behind Maxey?
I mean, he could. I mean, the only problem is right now, I mean, you know, let's say, like, if they go and they do a signing trade with K.J. Martin, right, and then you have, like, $7 to $8 million to go get someone, right, that way. But right now, yeah, I do see him trying to add someone. Of course, you would want another one, but at the same time, what are you going to get for a minimum? Like, how good is that player going to be? And maybe you may go out and get a Pat Bev like you did last year. But my concern is, like, who are you going to get? And how capable is that person going to be? Because those type of people that you want are trying to hold out and get more money elsewhere.
We're talking to Keith Pompey from the Inquirer on our Comcast Business Hotline. Keith's out in Las Vegas getting ready for the Summer League out there. And quick question first, Keith. Do you think the starting 5 for this coming season is on the roster right now?
That's a great question. You know, here's my thing. I would love for them to get a little bit more size in that starting lineup. You know, as much as everybody says they want Caleb Martin, because I'm assuming that starting 5 would probably be, if it was on the roster, it would be Oubre, Martin, Embiid, of course, Maxey, and Paul George, right?
Yeah.
But my concerns with that is, I love Caleb Martin. I love what he brings, but he's more like a wing to me, and I would love to get more size at the 4 spot. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that Caleb's not going to start. But it just seems to me that, you know, if I was able to get more size, I think that I'm bringing Kelly Oubre off the bench, and I'm having Caleb as the 2, and then Paul George at the 3, a bigger power forward, and then Embiid.
Go ahead. You can say his name. I know who you want to say because I've been saying it an awful lot. And he's a twin.
Your boy.
That's
your
right.
boy.
Bring him back. He's already got the key to the city. Bring Marcus Morris back.
Yeah, the twin. And I think that, you know, for that role, You know, I think that, you know, he's shown, and he's shown that he can play well off of Embiid in regards to sliding out to the three and hitting corner threes. He also provides the toughness. And I do feel like with him, you know, Martin's a tough guy, and so is Kyle. And, you know, Paul George is a pretty good defender as well. I feel like they have a nasty personality as a team if he came, and I think that he would be a great fit. But, again, he's also one of those guys who wants to make more than the minimum.
Yeah.
And he's waiting to see what's out there. But, yeah, you know, I believe he would love to come back here. But again, it's all about how much money he can make in the market, because right now all they have is a minimum wage salary to give him.
Keith, you're out in Vegas. Sixers player that's impressing out there is Ricky Council IV. Do you expect him to be a part of this rotation at all this season?
I do. You know, it's weird because, you know, he was a young guy last year, and sometimes, you know, because you'll play, but then when everybody comes back, it kind of takes away your minutes. But he's one of those guys that nothing that he did, like, said that, hey, the moment is too big for him, right? And I feel like, look at him right now. Last year, we were all talking about Turk Smith. We were talking about all these other guys, and we were saying all Ricky can do is dunk the ball, right? Brings energy, but he's just a dunker. Now you look at him, he's like, looks like he has a cheat code. Looks like he shouldn't be playing out there against these guys. And it's crazy because a year ago he was an undrafted player. I think that he deserves minutes in the rotation. I mean, he's a guy who can play three different positions. You know, he's a small forward, but he can slide up to the four if you want to do small ball. But he can also play the two. And he improved his shot a lot, and he's a tough-minded guy. So, yeah, I think that, you know, he's a guy that should be in the rotation because he deserves it. And, you know, he's a hard worker, man, a really hard worker.
Keith, you got to see Nick Nurse for a full season last year, and then, you know, it's just like a player. You got to watch a coach for a full season to kind of figure out what they are, what they want, and different strategies and all that. Was there an element, do you think, that wasn't here for Nick Nurse last year that would go better with his, that would have gone better with his coaching?
You know what? I think the biggest thing that they missed out on was continuity, right? I mean, you know, now we can talk about players and we can talk about, you know, different things, but if you notice, Bob, like he started off and they were hot, and then all of a sudden they made trades and they had to adjust a little bit, and then all of a sudden they start playing well, right? And then the next thing you know, Embiid goes down and they struggle a little bit, but then towards the end they start bringing it back. They start winning games that we didn't expect them to win. So the thing that really impressed me about him, like, yeah, of course, like, you know, Nick Nurse has made a lot of money and won a championship and had success in Toronto off, like, a lot of long interchangeable parts. Like, you know, guys who are power forwards but can play multiple positions. But I'm here to tell you, man, I was extremely impressed by him last year because he was able to adapt. I mean, and now it was times when you thought everything was going to go sour, but then all of a sudden he brought them back. And so to me, it's like, yeah, like, you know, I think Paul George is going to be a great fit for him, you know, but at the same time, I mean, this guy is a heck of a coach. And I feel like the biggest thing that he needs is continuity. If this team can stay healthy and with his coaching and the way that his relationship with the players, you know, Joel Embiid and Maxey, I feel like, you know, they're going to have a successful season, what he can do.
Keith, did you have an opportunity while you're in Vegas to catch any of the men's basketball team for the Olympics?
Nah. I was here earlier because I'm here now, but I was here earlier because my daughter had like a volleyball tournament. So it was kind of like with me, I'm trying to be a dad. You know what I mean? Before the day starts. But nah, I mean, you know, I would watch some of it on TV. Of course, I would go on social media. I watched the game that they played. but I wasn't like, going over there. I didn't want her to say, "Well, Daddy, I thought you said you were on vacation with me." So nah.
Well, I'm sure you saw though, Kawhi Leonard drops out. And they don't call Jaylen Brown. They call Derek White from the Celtics. Were you surprised by that?
I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people do, and I feel like here's the reason. My reason being, because and the one thing is the job that they want Derek White to do is way below Jaylen Brown's pay grade, right? Now, if Jaylen Brown had a beef with not making the team, personally, I would say, well, Devin Booker, that should have been your spot, right? But when you look at this team, I think Jaylen Brown has evolved into, an elite player, a guy who can get buckets, a guy who, is a pretty good, elite, a good two-way player. But Derek White is one of those, you need a Derek White to win a gold medal. You need a Derek White to win a championship. He's that unheralded guy that's going to lock you up, D you up. He doesn't care about shooting the ball. He's just going to do his role. Think about it. He lost some teeth and he kept playing, right? So my question is, if you have Jaylen Brown playing, of course everybody wants to play, but is he going to be happy when they say, "Hey, we're not running any plays for you. You just got to D up people the ball, guard or throw it down there to the guy streaking down the basket." So I know where everyone is saying, he was the Finals MVP, Eastern Conference MVP. He did this, he did that. But, I think that you need guys who are going to be able to lock down Luka. You're going to need guys who are going to be able to lock down all these foreign guards. And when I look at Derek White, he's better in that role than Jaylen Brown is, in my opinion. And I get the argument, but there's a reason why Drew Holiday is starting over Anthony Edwards. Why? Because you need a defender in that in that lineup, and you need another defender like Derek White. So I don't have a problem with it.
We're talking to Keith Pompey from the Inquirer on the Comcast Business Hotline. And the last one for you, Keith, we brought up Jared McCain a little bit earlier, but didn't go really in depth on him. If all plays out the way Daryl Morey wants it to during this offseason, you head into the regular season, how big of a role do you think that kid would have on the 76ers this year?
That's a great question. I think that if they're being honest with us and everything like that, or if they're saying this, I don't think he'll have a role, but I don't think he'll have the role that a lot of people think he would. I think that he could have a role similar to what Maxey had when he first came. And what I mean is that come off the bench, give some energy. But the difference between him and Maxey, and I know his shot has not been falling in Summer League, but to me, it's his role is going to be a guy who comes in and stretches the floor and gets, stretches the floor for Embiid and things like that. I don't think that he's going to be a guy where you say, okay, we're going to spread the floor and we want you to get buckets. We want to run a lot of plays for you, because I feel like you have a big three and everybody else has a role. And I feel like his role is going to be to come in there, you know what I mean, and be a space setter for Maxey, PG, and Embiid. It's just going to be different than, if he was on a team that was struggling or anything like that. I don't feel like they're going to force feed him. Now, I think gradually his role is going to increase, maybe through the seasons. But this season right now, I feel like, their intent of winning the championship, and his number one NBA skill set is shooting, right? So I feel like that's where they're going to utilize him the most.
All right. Well, Keith, listen, be careful out there in Vegas. If I can make one suggestion, Piero's. Not sure.
Oh, really?
I don't think you and I ever went there when we were out together. Piero's, unbelievably good Italian restaurant right near the convention center.
Okay.
Put it on the list, and I expect a text after you go there.
Okay. No doubt. Will do.
All right, buddy. Listen, have a great trip, and we will talk to you soon.